Facebook world. It's Jennifer Darling here, your positively successful sales coach with Darling Coaching, and I am here tonight with a very special guest, Elaine Simpson. Elaine is a super smart lady, just like I bring you every day. We have Facebook Lives. I bring you super smart people from all over the country, giving you super smart information to help you run your business. And Elaine is really special to me because she's from Michigan, obviously where I grew up. So I love talking to her because then all of a sudden, I hear her Michigan accent, and then the next thing you know, I'm speaking Michiganese for like another week. So we'll have that going for me till I get to Maui and get repurposed back into my California and in between kind of language, and I'll be back to normal. And then I'll talk to my mom, and I'll be back at Michiganese again. But that's all good. All right, so let's talk about tonight what we're going to talk about. Hey, Elaine. Let me tell you a little bit about Elaine first before we dive in, and I'll tell you about what we're going to be talking about tonight too. So Elaine Simpson, she's been employed in the housing industry since 1986. I get all these young people. They start when they're like 2 years old in business. Starting on site, she was a leasing agent, and then she moved up working as an assistant manager, then a site manager, then executive director, and then finally a senior regional manager with communities and states all over the country and portfolios containing more than 1,400 units. She's a big shot here. Ms. Simpson has worked for local and national industry leading companies, and throughout her career, she's trained new managers across the country. She's assisted in creating best practices and procedure manuals. She's participated in numerous task forces during national mergers, acquisitions, and dispositions, and headed turnaround teams assigned to troubled and distressed communities. Elaine has founded her own company, Occupancy Solutions, LLC, in 2007. See, I told you, she's like up the ladder and then boom, she's got her own company. She provides operational and affordable housing, compliance, maintenance, human relations, marketing, leasing consulting, and training services for multifamily professionals of market rate, senior, and affordable housing communities. Like, she is from beginning to end, bottom to top. She's done it all. The awesomest thing about Elaine for you tonight is that she's going to talk about leading virtual teams. So many people, so many entrepreneurs and small business owners, they don't all have, maybe they employ small teams, or maybe they don't even have a team at all. I don't even have a team that I employ. So I have to work with virtual people, and that can be challenging and rewarding. So she's going to give us some awesome insight on how to lead a team, virtual, people who are indirect, people are direct. So welcome very much tonight, Elaine Simpson. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you. It's an honor.
You are so welcome. So tell us, what do you love to do? What's your favorite thing that you love to do?
I love just working with people and figuring out what needs to happen to make it so that they can succeed. And so I end up doing it not just professionally, but with my family, my friends. I just love talking to people and helping them brainstorm and coming up with ideas.
Oh, with your family and friends too. You'll have to give me some advice. My husband says, stop trying to manage me. So you'll have to tell me how to move from managing to leading or being in a team. Well, we've been together 20 years, so I don't know. I think it's working. I want to let the audience know who's here tonight. We already have viewers online. Thank you for joining us. Please make sure you pop a question or a comment in the comment section, because as we're talking tonight and Elaine's giving us some valuable tips and information, she'll be happy to answer questions. So please put any questions that you have right in the comments. So Elaine, let's get started. This is a pretty general question, but I'm sure you have some great tips for how do you lead a virtual team? I mean, what's that look like?
Well, first of all, I have a number of people that work for me, subcontractors. I don't actually have employees. So they're all independent contractors, but they're all over the country because we work all over the country. Mm-hmm. And I learned a long time ago that I can't do everything, and I don't like to do a lot of things. So mm-hmm. aspect of things I don't like to do. I am more of a, creative thinker. So knowing that my clients needed help with compliance and audits and things like that for their programs, I found about 5 or 6 compliance people that work for me. One's in Arizona, one's in Michigan, one's in California, one's in Tennessee, and then one's in Maryland. So that right there in itself is a challenge, right?
Yeah.
A couple of assistants that all work remotely. And then I have an HR specialist that also works remotely, a maintenance trainer that works remotely, and marketing and graphics people that work remotely. So my whole team is remote. And I also work with clients remotely because they're all over the country. So some of the things that we've done is I think it's really important, especially with clients and subcontractors / employees, how do they like to communicate? Because communication's key when it comes to achieving our success. And, you know, I have some of my team that don't like to text. So texting them goes wasted, right? So
right.
They are the pick up the phone and call me people. I have some that don't like the phone and only like the texting. Then I will text me while I'm on the phone with them and to make sure they're getting all the information to me, right?
While you're talking on the phone, you're texting too. Okay.
Exactly.
My husband and I do that when we're watching TV.
Right, exactly. So it really, I think, is key to figure out how your teams like to communicate. And again, I have, because they're all remote and they're all independent, some of them work nights, some of them work days, some of them had young children at home. So really understanding their time and place as opposed to just my time and place. As you know, I travel a lot. So I could be in Wisconsin, which I was in Thursday and Wednesday, then Arizona, then, back to Michigan or California. So it's really helpful to know what they prefer because I can work my schedule around them.
Okay.
So, and also understanding that when I shoot an email, if I'm in the Eastern time zone and I'm shooting an email at 7 a.m. Eastern time, those people in California don't, they're not going to get it for another 3 hours.
Right. Right. That's so true. In fact, at 8:30 this morning, I was driving through the Starbucks line and I was returning an email I got from Hawaii. And so I just picked up the phone and I called. Usually I'd email, but, wanted to hear them say aloha. So I picked up the phone and I called Hawaii and they're like, I'm sorry, the reservations is not open for like an hour and a half. And I'm thinking, well, that's kind of strange. And then I realized it was 3 hours is a big difference.
Absolutely.
Really big difference.
It is. So we have that challenge all over the country.
Yeah.
Another challenge that we have when you're working remotely is for those people you text with and especially email, being very aware of what you're saying and how you say it. Because people read a lot into text. We communicate so much by how we sound and what we say, but when there's no body language and things like that, people tend to often be somewhat, oversensitive to how things are stated in emails and texts and things like that. So I find one of the tricks that I use for that is I never put the person's name in the email send box.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
I don't know why that's going on. Let's keep going. It's Square calling me. Like, why are you calling me right now? Go away.
Well, so as I was saying, it's in the emails, what I often do will write the email but I never put the send to the person I'm addressing it to in there yet because I have a habit of hitting send and
yes, before it's all done.
Well, and it's sometimes I get, again, it's a different place and different time. So sometimes I get an email or I get off the phone with a client or something and I'm upset because we didn't do something we were supposed to or there was miscommunication. So, you automatically start typing aggressively and hit send. You already have got a negative tone in the email, which is always a bad thing, but the person that's receiving it also adds to it. So I found that I type, walk away, come back, reread it, type it again, and depending on the sensitivity of it, walk away again and come back and then put the person's name in the send box.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea. I love that.
Yeah, it's so easy to send things and just totally screw up everything. So
yeah, or accidentally send it to the wrong person. I've done that before.
Yeah, I actually got an email from a client that was not happy about another trainer, and she was complaining to her employees about this other trainer and accidentally sent it to me because I was copied on another email that she was using all the email addresses from. And that was a very interesting situation because the trainer she was talking about was a good friend of mine. So.
Oh no, right. And then you're like, how am I going to deal with this information that I have that I'm not supposed to have? And can I just erase it from my memory kind of thing? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it was pretty interesting.
That's great. You know, and people have different sensitivities and generations have different levels of communication too. It's, you know, it's all over kind of crazy now. It didn't used to be like that, but you know, I find myself wanting text more than I used to as well, or, you know, email, because I used to like to talk on the phone, but now I'm so busy. It's like, I think I'd rather just have let's just have a quick email exchange. But I have this friend who said after 3 emails, I pick up the phone. So it goes one way, back, goes the other way, it's coming back, I'm picking up the phone because now it's probably shorter in a phone message. I'm like, that's a really good probably rule.
Absolutely. The other rule that I think is really good is, like you mentioned, the generations. And you have to keep in mind that the generations, there's so many variations. So if I say something like, I'm referring to something from back in the 80s, and I could be speaking to a leasing consultant on the property who wasn't even born in the 80s.
Right.
You know, I made the mistake once of referring to the Andy Griffith Show, and she's like, what's that?
What are you talking about? Yeah.
So especially when you're doing remote, you have to be aware of that because you often aren't looking at that person and it's not that reminder right in your face about that. So
that's a very good point. Yeah. I have a very young voice, and so when I get on the phone, people sometimes think I'm a teenager because I have a young voice. I'm like, I don't have a problem having a young voice, but I'm certainly not a teenager anymore.
Absolutely. I mean, but that does happen. So it's important that we really are aware of the people you're communicating with. Yeah. When it comes to remote, something I like to say is, we've all been taught to treat people the way you'd want to be treated, but especially with remote relationships, you have to treat them the way they want to be treated because the common currency.
That's a great idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, find out what they want. How do they communicate? What do they prefer? And then I like to accordingly send them little gifts if they've done something really well. Massage Envy, you can get a gift card for $50 or $75. Yeah. They're all over the country and they get a massage.
Oh, I love that.
And if you do it at the right time of year, they usually give you a gift card too. So like a
2 for 1.
Exactly. So you can do a 2 for 1, and it's a great way to brighten everybody's day.
Awesome. So. Yeah. Well, we have a couple questions that have come in. So I'm going to pop this first one up. This is from Robin Basotos. And Robin says, Elaine, how do you successfully find good virtual independent contractors? I'm curious. And now I realize this is a very general question because independent contractors come in probably 1,000 different types of people you might work with. I mean, you probably mentioned 5 or 6 that you worked with earlier.
Right. Well, and, I used originally LinkedIn quite a bit to find my remote, virtual contractors and things like that. Also, being in the industry, I wanted people that had specific history in the industry, experience in the industry. So I found some Facebook groups that were specific to my industry.
That's an awesome idea.
LinkedIn as well, with the groups that they have on there, very specific to my industry. And then ask for referrals as well. I tried the Craigslist ad thing, and oh my gosh, I got inundated with people that knew nothing about what I asked for, and it was just more work than it was worth. But LinkedIn, I think, is a really nice way of doing it. And I also think that with the membership, using it that way saves you a lot of time.
The premium membership on LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Awesome. And it's actually not even really a big investment. It's
No.
but $60 a month. And for, turnover, I'm sure from all your millions of years in the corporate world is very, very expensive. So spending $50 a month on finding the right person versus some turnover is an awesome investment.
It is. And we do it. I mean, we also do it for our clients as well. So you can go on there and kind of stalk people and figure out who they are and see if they're worth somebody you want to follow up on. And then you reach out to them. And I've had some great success that way. Also talking with the ones that I have working for me, they are, hey, do you need someone that does this? I've got a great person that does this. And, they like building and adding to the team. So because the more we have, the more we feel like a team. And we do weekly phone calls and emails and, things like that. So it gives them an opportunity to talk and get to know one another.
What an excellent point. I mean, they really must like the team that you have created and the culture, the virtual culture that you've created to be referring other people into the group. Yeah. That's kudos to you. All right, I've got another question here, and this comes from my friend Catherine. Hey, Catherine. I don't know if I quite understand this question, so you might have to add a little bit to it. You say, how do you deal with confidentiality issues? And what I'm going to say, Elaine, is she asked this question earlier whenever we were talking about email information. Okay. So that's when the question popped up in my box.
Okay. Well, Catherine, I'm going to give you a whole lot of different things that apply differently, and hopefully one of them is direct to what you're asking.
Hit the spot.
Right, exactly. First off, all my consultants sign a confidentiality agreement. We often sign a confidentiality agreement with our clients because, usually we get pulled in when there's problems, and they don't want us sharing the fact that ABC Community or ABC Management Company is having problems. So we typically sign a confidentiality agreement with that. But anybody that works for me also signs a confidentiality agreement. And I've, knock on wood of some sort, there.
It's around here somewhere.
Right. I haven't had an issue with that. But we also do, because we do compliance, and compliance has to do with resident files and income and tax information and social security numbers, we use a system called ShareFile. And it's one of the only HIPAA approved virtual filing cabinets, I guess is the best way to put it. But my compliance team all has access to it. We set up a file for each community. So if Julie is the compliance person for ABC Community, she has access to that file, but she doesn't have access to the other files. And so we have that. And what's nice about ShareFile is it notifies me when anybody downloads or uploads, so I can keep an eye on that, but I stopped that because it was just way too many things coming in. But it also tracks it, so I can look and see, I can pull up a report that shows me who was looking at what files, what changes were made to the file, when it was sent back to the property and all that. So it's nice because they don't have to download anything, because if you download it, it's on your computer, and I don't want residents' information floating around on other people's computers. So that helps with our confidentiality for our clients and their clients. And we use it for a number of things. It's our main virtual file cabinet for various jobs that we have going on.
Fantastic. Oh, did you hear me talking? Can you hear my echo? No, okay, well, that's good. I've got an echo going on my end, but hopefully I'm glad you can't hear it on your end, because that means the world probably can't hear it either. All right, let's ask you another question here about motivation, team motivation. People are remote, people are direct or indirect or whatever, but mostly remote or indirect teams. How do you keep them motivated? They're so far away.
They are, but I think part of it is that we get to know each other. I do try to meet them face to face, and so it may not be right away. It may be that I come to San Jose, and so I meet with Emily there or whatever it might be. So I do try to meet with them at least once or twice face to face, or if I'm going to be in the area. I also like to, when a client says a good job, I make sure that they know that the client said good job. We take and put testimonials up on our website, not just about the company, but if they name somebody in there, I don't have them take it out. It says, Sandy did a great job on this or whatever it might be. And a lot of it is they like the flexibility of working virtually. They can do whatever they want. Sandy has 3 young kids at home. Emily's has a couple of children. It's just makes it easy. And having that and knowing that you can do what you want to do when you want to do it, they're independent contractors, so I can't tell them when they have to work. I can tell them when I need something done by, but how they decide to get there is up to them. So a lot of the independent, they really like. I've been known to send boxes with a party in it. So that's where you get a big box with some balloons and some streamers and, some candy or whatever. And so when they open it, hopefully the helium in the balloon is still there. The balloons rise up and it's a little party in the box. So, try to do things like that.
Very creative.
Yeah, we used to do it all the time at properties. We send it when they met a goal or whatever. We used to do that. I've been known to send singing telegrams. I mean, I don't do it all that often, but definitely.
But when you do, it makes a huge difference.
I also think it helps that when I ask how they're doing and they start talking about their personal life, I actually want to listen. And I think it's, how sometimes you get asked how you're doing and the person, you almost feel like they hope that you don't really answer. Right, exactly.
Good, what's up?
Right, exactly. But I know the kids' names. I know the dogs. I know all that. And I ask about it and, check in with them. How you doing? You got any questions? What can we do? Real basic.
Yeah. What do you think are some of the pros of having, see, I just did it, having. That was a Michigan word. I already caught on. I'm fast. I'm fast. What do you think are some of the pros of having virtual teams versus employees?
Well,
the rest, like in your office employees, because you've had both.
Well, employees are a pain sometimes. I don't know if anybody else knows that, but it's just the drama that sometimes you get with employees. Not that you don't get that with virtual independent contractors, but they tend not to be so intense. Mm-hmm. So they don't necessarily share because you don't see them every day. You're not in the office with them 8 hours a day. So they don't tend to overshare information. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit easier, I think, remotely because you don't have that face-to-face constant, Elaine looked at me funny today, or she seems cranky today. If I'm not there, you don't know. So right. It's a little bit easier to manage that way. The other is the cost. I mean, it really does come down to the cost. They can have an office in their home. They can work in their living room, at their dining room table. I can pay them a little bit more because I'm not paying for office space for them. Mm-hmm. I have offices in Michigan and Arizona, but that's just mainly because I don't like working from home every day. Mm-hmm. But the rest of them, they can come. Yeah. If they're, in a city that's where I have an office, they're welcome to come use the office. Yeah. But they work from home.
Mm-hmm. I find a lot of employers feel like if the people aren't there, they can't keep an eye on them. But what my experience has been is people are more focused when they're not in an office. When I was in an office environment, there's so much other stuff going on that's major distractions. When I work out of my home, the only distraction I have is my Yorkie wanting me to let him out to go try to get the squirrel in the backyard. But outside of, I can put him in a room if I want him to leave me alone, but aren't any distractions. So I'm a lot more focused and a lot more productive.
I think it really depends on the person though. I find that most of the time when I assign work or I give a job to somebody to do, there's a deadline, there's check-in points. So they're working against the clock pretty much. They know that they need to get this done within 2 weeks or a week or whatever it might be. Mm-hmm. And I learned to do that after some failures. All right. Okay. I assume that everybody's going to have the same work ethic as I do, which being a business owner and traveling as much as I do, I work 7 days a week. Right. And I try not to work much into the evenings, but why wouldn't you work Saturday and Sunday? I don't request that of them, but I found that I have to let them know the deadlines for things. Yeah. Otherwise, they don't know. They don't know and they don't budget their time appropriately. If
Yeah.
you're working at home, it's very easy to work on laundry or cooking or the kids or whatever. And some people don't do well with that. They really don't. So again, it's understanding yourself, but also understanding
Right.
the remote person.
Kind of understanding the personality types and then just setting deadlines. I mean, that's a good just standard procedure anyway, right? Yeah.
Right.
So everybody knows that expectation.
Right. No, I mean, it's now gotten to the point where I'll say, because a lot of the stuff that we do is research related, and I'll say, all right, I need you to research this. Only spend a couple hours on it, because otherwise, because I pay them hourly, I'll get a bill for 20 hours for something I only wanted a couple hours worth of research on. So I have learned how to communicate with them based on some failures.
Well, I think these are amazing tips you've offered tonight. Tons of tips for managing your virtual team. So thank you so very much for giving your time and your expertise to our Facebook Live audience. You've been an outstanding guest, Elaine. Thank you very much. Before I wrap up, is there anything else you'd like anybody to know? I do want to give you some props and say that you are always doing awesome webinars and very cool things to give value to people. So I want to make sure that I put in the comments the link to either your Facebook page or your website. So if people want to get in touch with you, they know where to find you and how to get on, that you definitely want to be on her radar because she's got all kinds of great value to give you. But outside of that, anything else that you'd like to add before we wrap up our session tonight?
Not really. I mean, I've enjoyed this. This has been fun. I love working and talking with women about women in business, and this is perfect.
Awesome. Well, you are another positively successful woman in business, and I appreciate your time tonight. Thanks again. And thank you, Facebook audience, and Catherine and Robin for your questions. We really appreciate it. And it is a wrap. Everyone have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow night with another amazing guest.